Good afternoon, my name is Marissa Jackson, and today I will be discussing my creative critical reflection questions for my ACE Media Finals.
How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues?
My product uses conventions that you would usually see in a thriller film. So my product had a vulnerable actor who acted as the victim. There was a cycle that caused all the suspense that built up in the movie. There were non-diegetic sounds of dramatic and suspenseful music. There were diegetic sounds of footsteps and birds chirping. The costume designs were a regular shirt and some shoes and some shorts. It's basically like casual summer wear clothing. My product was filmed in broad daylight to show that anyone can be kidnapped at any time of the day. My product represents social issues of stalking and kidnapping. After doing some research, I found that persons aged from 18 to 24 experience the highest rate of stalking. Consider in our film, 26.7% of victims consider their victimization a personal matter, like Ariel's mother's past came back to haunt her daughter. In this case, the victim was stalked by a stranger, but in other cases, victims are stalked by family members also.
How would it be distributed as a real media text?
My product engages with audiences by taking a real-world problem and making it into a movie film. Stalking and kidnapping increases every year, and there are more than 460,000 missing children each year. Of those missing children, only 1,500 of them are kidnapped. My product will be distributed as a real media text on billboards and movie theaters across the world, hopefully the big theaters like LA and New York City. My film should get the audience's eyes open to be careful of your surroundings. However, like a typical thriller, ours did not have any guns, knives, or baseball bats.
How did your production skills develop throughout this project?
My production skills developed throughout this project because I was mostly behind the camera this time, and in previous films, I was always the main actor. I learned more about camera angles and different movements. Through the editing process, I learned how to dissolve footage where you take a couple scenes and they overlap so that it saves time. One thing I found interesting was how the effects for the titles can change. The last thing I learned was how to make a flashback black and white. This helps the audience understand who Ariel was being stalked by.
How did you integrate technologies, software, hardware, and online in this project?
I integrated technologies such as a camera and a tripod. The software that we used for the editing process was called Pinnacle Studios. So with this program, I learned that you have to be very cautious because it's slow. The footage can get deleted in a matter of seconds. Online, we downloaded different sound effects and music that we incorporated into the film. The hardware materials that we used were the USB to get the music, the SD card to keep track of the footage, and the SD card reader. Overall, I had an amazing time filming this final test project.